Okay, we're live.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to the UTRCA's February 24th, 2026 meeting. And this is also our AGM. So that's really exciting. We got a little bit different setup here. A couple of notes that Emily Chandler is our meeting host. The good thing is we have everybody here today in person. So if you're having trouble off the live stream, you're in the wrong meeting. With that, it will be, everything is live streamed as regular. And so if you want to please refrain from whispers or side conversation while the meeting is running, as it could get picked up by the microphone. Just a reminder on the microphones up there, when it's green, that means it's on. That when it's red, it means it's not on, and it's on. So be mindful of that. And that pertains to everybody in the audience as well. They're very sensitive. So if you don't want somebody to be heard publicly, say it inside your head. Excellent. We do not have any regrets today. And so I will start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Upper Thames River watershed, sorry, it's like I've never done this before. We acknowledge that the Upper Thames River watershed is within the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples, who have deep, long-standing and intrinsic relationships to land, water, plants, and animals of southwestern Ontario. We acknowledge the First Nations community within the Thames River watershed who are connected to and by the Thames River. These nations include Chippewa, the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nations of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation at Moravian Town. In the region, there are 11 First Nation communities and a growing diverse Indigenous urban population. We acknowledge and respect local and regional First Nations as original, contemporary, and future caretakers of this watershed, and we are committed to working alongside Indigenous peoples from across the region and Turtle Island to strengthen relationships, honor treaties, and improve watershed health. So with that, I will ask if there's any modifications to the agenda. None. Can I have a mover and a second to approve the agenda? We'll go with Dean and Scotty. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. With that, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Being none, there are no presentations or delegations, and so we'll move right to the administrative business. We do have the minutes from the previous meeting. So mover and seconder that the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority Board of Directors approve the Board of Directors minutes dated January 27th, 2026 as posted on the UTRCA website. Peter and Skylar. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I don't believe there's any business arising for the minutes. There's no correspondence. And so we'll get right into the business for consideration. The first one is the 2025 factual certificate annual report that comes to the board, just making sure that all our statutory requirements are paid for and all those items are taken. Tracy?
I can confirm that.
Excellent. Any questions of the report from the board? Seeing none, I will ask for a mover and a seconder to move that the board of the directors approve the financial certificate as presented. Sandy and George. Hey, Jim. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Excellent. And next we'll go to 6.2, which is the municipal apportionment methods. And I'll turn that right over to Tracy.
Yes, thank you, Chair. For you, as outlined in the report, the last couple of years, there's been a requirement through our changes in legislation to have our consideration of municipal apportionment methods considered in a separate vote. They can be done at a separate meeting, but also at the same meeting, but separate from our board and budget consideration, I should say. So with this, it outlines the methods that we use. Each conservation authority is a little bit different, but because we do have by current value assessment provided by the province, spread out amongst our members, but also that we have our capital and operating separated, category 3 programs and services separated, but then we also have that benefit-based apportionment method that we use. Not all CAs do that, but given the number of structures that we have in our watershed, financial arrangements that were made at the time when the structures were built. That is the process that we used for as long as I can remember. That's something that we've documented in the memo that's included with the package to describe that. And as noted, because it's a budgetary matter, we do vote by weighted vote for this portion.
So that means Michelle has her yearly duties of making sure that the weighted vote is done correctly. Any questions on the board of this? Seeing none, is there a mover and a seconder for the recommended motion? Peter and Judy? Discussion? All those in favor? Ah,
City of London, Anna Hopkins. City of London, Peter Cuddy.
yes.
City of London, Skylar Frank.
Yes.
City of London, Sandy Levin.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Brian Petrie.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Paul Mitchell.
Yes.
County of Oxford, George Way.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Mark Schadenberg.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Scotty Zaire.
Yes.
City of Stratford, Harjan Jar.
Yes.
Township of Lucan Vidal, Tom Heenan.
Yes.
Municipality of Thames Center, Tom Heenan.
Yes.
Municipality of Middlesex Center, Jean Coles.
Yes.
Municipality of West Perth, Dean Trentowski.
Yes.
Township of Perth East, Hugh McDermott.
Yes.
Township of Town of St. Mary's, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Township of Perth South.
Yes.
Jim Craigmile, and Municipality of South Huron, Jim Craigmile.
Yes. Excellent. That'll take us down to 6.3, which is our 2026 final draft budget. Again, this will be done in a vote as well. There'll be two parts on this one. And so I will turn over to Tracy to go through.
Sure. Emily can pull up. I've provided a little bit of a budget presentation, similar to many of the presentations that I made at the local municipalities where requested. Just to recap, budget, the highlights, how we consider our budget, and some of the changes that we've on the budget.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, give us a moment to cue that up.
That budget music as well.
I kind of like it.
You want the song?
Okay, so share.
Budget music would be what?
Sad.
Country.
Jingling.
You can cut the music.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on.
I do have that.
Well, I have done a number of budget presentations as outlined in the report. And as said, this is very similar, just highlighting some of the key things that have been the full budget package, the communications materials that we sent out to our member municipalities. And of course, some of the minor changes that have happened since October, year end. That's been a big driver in seeing some of the final numbers that we've put forward in the final budget that you have in your package. Of course, having year end results allows us to determine certainly how much funds we may have to carry over to certain programs areas, and as well consideration of some of our program areas are multi-year. So with that, I'll ask Emily for the next slide. Again, I always remind our municipalities that what we're providing is on a watershed basis. This is programs and services that benefit the full watershed. Of course, when we were formed, conservation authorities were very much a provincial municipal partnership. And although there's lots of changes coming from the province, our plan for 2026 continues. It's as usual to continue delivering the very important programs and services that we do watershed-wide. We always leverage that municipal investment to deliver those programs and services, and you'll see that with some of the figures that we're able to show in our budget process. So next slide with that. Always a reminder that since we've had our legislative changes, the requirement to budget based on the category of our program, whether they be mandatory programs and services, this is where municipal levy can be used. That could be 100% municipal levy and without an agreement. Of course, that's not something that we do. We're always able to leverage the levy with other funding sources. We have non-mandatory programs or category 2 programs where municipalities have requested us to undertake a program or service on their behalf. ESA program, for example, and risk management under the Drinking Water Source Protection Act. And then, of course, our other programs are category 3s, where they're really where we've determined create great environmental value throughout our entire watershed. And as a watershed, it certainly, these programs benefit beyond individual municipalities and don't consider municipal boundaries. The next slide, please. When we went through our budget development in the first place, the first thing was always having stability in delivering our mandatory programs and services at our current service levels. Of course, we've had cost of living adjustments and pay step increases to stay competitive, to retain our employees, and certainly attract new employees. We've had inflation driving costs, certainly with regular inflation costs, but also recognizing that construction prices in London and area have risen 14.5%. They're higher now than in 2023. So that's pretty significant jumps when we're talking about some of our capital projects. We also considered our multi-year contracts, particularly with Canada Water Agency funding. It's a significant contributor, and having those types of funding programs in place helps us to offset many of our service cost center costs, those overheads, because these programs help to contribute to covering those overhead costs. We've also included some staffing support to ensure that we have succession planning in place for some of our senior positions, making sure that we are ensuring that continuity of service. At the time, we were also anticipating a freeze fees, I always have a challenge with that, a fees freeze and reductions in other federal funding sources. Although the fees freeze letter did not come as we were anticipating, we did, as we saw last meeting, just provide a very minor cost of living adjustments for the planning and development fees. But certainly when it came to our camping fees and other program area fees, those were considered in the budget. Some revisions from the October, we have some revenue adjustments. Like I mentioned, those increase in camping fees, some grants, deferral, having found out we had the WSIB rebate very late in the year in 2025. We've certainly deferred some of those funds moving into 2026 for use this year. Also some new external funding and certainly some investment gains as well that were significant. Attached with the budget, when I mentioned external funding, is kind of the update on our funding log. You can see even since October, there's been some confirmation of new funds that came in there, and much is in the works too. On the operating expense side, we've made some adjustments with payroll. We have our WSIB rates, insurance rates, some estimates on property taxes, and revised cost estimates and depreciation for some of our capital projects, as well as legal and consulting fees have changed as well to better reflect what we spent last year and anticipate what we'll be spending this year as well. Next slide, Emily. With our operating budget, again, broken into those categories of programs and services. Back in October, we were projecting a slight deficit of 49K. Now that's more or less balanced. It's less than 5K. So, and again, we're still have lots of options for additional funding coming our way. fingers crossed. With category 2, again, a very slight deficit, mainly due to corporate allocations. We were able to recover those. Again, these are multi-year contracts, so there's no worries there. And with category 3 programs, aside from the campgrounds, we're projecting to have a slight deficit, 2% of the project spending, which is quite minor. And even so, that deficit reduced from the October number, which was around 270,000, down to 188,000 now. Again, with many of those project proposals in place in the funding log, we've always anticipate kind of a soft source of revenue with the nature of those programs and the nature of funding that often we find out throughout the year. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. Again, it doesn't include those funding sources that are in progress yet or not yet fully announced. And then our category 3 campgrounds, we are projecting a surplus there. We want to make sure we're continuing with those capital improvements to our facilities in the campgrounds. So next slide, Emily. Overall, when we're looking at operating funding sources, I always like to show the pie where the municipal levy contributions are for all of our programs and services. It's about 32% is levy. The large portion of the pie is that self-generated revenue stream. Also, the municipal contracts are, and federal grants and contracts are large contributions. And then you can see the small amounts in the transfer payments from the province, whether it be under the Conservation Authorities Act, that $181,213, or through the Clean Water Act. And again, just a reminder, under that transfer payment, that is for the Thames and Sydenham and Region CAs. So the 3 CAs that participate in the program, not just the Upper Thames. Next slide. Can show the operating expenses as well. Almost half is for those category 1 mandatory programs and services that we're providing. And then see the contributions as well for a very small part of the category 2 programs, fairly significant for our category 3 programs, highlighting that a big part of that is because the Canada Water Agency program for phosphorus reduction. Those funds are flow through funds and get out to our local landowners that are doing the work on the ground. And then as well, our campground activities. Again, with our campgrounds, operating those campgrounds not only provide the benefits locally, but then also contribute to offsetting some of our overhead costs as well. Next slide. When we're talking about our capital budget, lots of work planned again for 2026. It's the challenge we have with aging infrastructure. We recognize that project costs can be quite variable and impact municipalities depending on their special benefiting rates and which projects are being initiated at what time. Again, we have seen that range between 5 and 17% increases in building construction for the London area. So that's been a large driver of some of the increases. But also we've been doing additional work, we have better costing estimates too. Knowing it's quite unique, the type of work you're doing on dams. So it's not like you can compare for what asphalt is for a length of road. So having done some of the work, Chris and his teams have been able to refine some of those estimates as well for our asset management planning. Next slide. Again, very much depends on the benefit-based apportionment method for capital. It'll apply differently depending on the municipalities, but we're always looking for alternative funding sources as well. When we look at which projects are on the list to be initiated, Chris and his team, Huda, and David are meeting with municipalities to discuss those projects as well, to make sure they're on their radar. And some of those refinements in this budget have been based on those discussions to figure out which projects were happening this year and which ones maybe are happening next year instead. When we know and we have approved funding under the water and erosion control infrastructure funding, we provide that funding source as well, and we're constantly updating those project costs as they're applied. So next slide. I always like to show this to give it a little bit more context when you're looking at our budget and what portions account for the general levy, for the operating general levy and capital general levy, and which amounts are the benefit-based structure, both operating and capital. You see that split very well 50-50. So just as a good visual to see that distribution of where those two different levy types lie and the different municipal contributions between both capital and operating. So next slide, please. From levy changes from 2025, with this budget, again, we've used the modified current value assessment. So the category 1 programs, the increase from 2025 as a whole, around 4.9%. We're able to keep it under 5 and also able to achieve the City of London's request to reduce our forecast previously to the city by 1.5% as well. We've included a 4.3% for our cost apportioning support, those category 3 programs. We've actually seen a reduction this year from last year for levies required for operations and major repairs. And then that total of all municipal support that includes both categories 1 and 3 and capital is a change of 2.3%. So, next slide, please, Emily. With our cost apportioning agreements, includes everything from our stewardship and restoration programs, continuing to deliver those landowner stewardship programs, our sub-watershed planning and monitoring, including continuing to make science-based decisions, collecting data to inform decision-making, and our community outreach and education, really trying to encourage and empower our community groups and our youth in conservation efforts. So, next slide, please. Some of the highlights that we've included for work that we're continuing to do, customer service and transparency improvements, again, from the Black Line report and other improvements that we've identified, our hazard mapping updates to continue, hydrometric monitoring equipment upgrades, development and implementation management plans for our rural CAs, and some procedures updates for our trails and lands activities. We're partnering with MECP for some pilot projects for water quality. Some of those forever chemicals, you would have read about it in the Thames River Current. Continue to increase awareness on the importance of protecting our drinking water sources. Initiating an Indigenous engagement strategy. The photo here is some of the Indigenous land guardians and water guardians out at Emerald Pond. And then also our corporate services continuing to modernize and continue with our health and safety excellence program. So, next slide. So with our budget, we always provide communications that go along with it. We had the draft budget package circulated to our member municipalities, but also included that budget overview targeted for each municipality so they could see the impact on their municipality, knowing that each municipality has slightly different impacts when there's different structures and benefit-based apportionments that apply. The offer for presentations to either budget committees or councils for input. In January, we reviewed any comments received. And now we have February at our AGM where we're considering the budget package that we have today. Next slide, just future budgets. We don't know yet. Yes, this is in the works. I think that's always in the back of everyone's mind. But for this year, we want to continue to deliver our programs and services throughout the watershed that benefit our watershed. There'll certainly be a different process in 2027, yet to be determined. But just to focus and continue on the important work that we do for our member municipalities. So next slide. As outlined in the report, the recommendations are in 2 parts. Certainly considering our operating expenses as one and our capital in the other. So back to you.
Thanks very much. Obviously, this document is based off previous drafts that we've seen and further refined consultation. So at that, I will open up floors to the board for questions of the report and Tracy's presentation.
You. On page 45, It's the category one. There's for hazardous mapping and for another project. And they're both about the same cost, just if you would explain the difference. Like one seems to be, you're looking at the water flow and the other ones you're looking at the hazardous.
Sure, I can, this is the attachment, the funding proposal box. So the two different proposals that we have for flood identification and the other one, well, one's the actual flood hazard mapping consultation support, the other one is water course bathymetry and structural survey. So Chris, I wondered if you wanted to talk about those proposals that we have?
After, the one is the data collection. So that's an annual effort that we've been doing for quite some time. To collect bathymetry information and what's not readily evident in the LiDAR based information that we're getting across the watershed. So it augments that. The other is the consultation portion of it, which is consultation on the mapping and modeling. We've started that process with the Thames River. Hopefully that kind of covers off the question.
Further questions? Anybody else? Or just making sure I don't miss anyone? Okay, none. This is a two-part. So is there a mover for the first part, which is the read that so everybody's clear. Board of Directors approved the budgets for 2026 in two parts. It would be a projected operating surplus of $625,441 from $28,892,699 in operating expenses requiring $8,794,095 of participating municipal member levy and requiring $653,136 in cost apportionment agreements among members. That would be the first part. I would move the first part. Okay, perfect. Anna, we'll go to Anna this time for a second. Thank you very much. Discussion. What I'll say is, obviously this year is a little bit different than other years, but we say that every year. A UTRCA budget is a ever evolving document, because the staff here go out and try to really get us dollars for our municipal contribution. And so we know that at the beginning of the year, the budget is not necessarily the same as at the end of the year, but usually in a positive way, because those dollars are coming in. And certainly it's not an easy task to do that. So we will see a revised copy come through throughout the year. So as those things change, but the one thing I do want to highlight here is the benefits that we as municipalities around the table receive from the work that goes on here and that work. You know, when you look at those cost benefit based budgets, you know, they change from year to year, but everybody's out there trying to make sure that they are reduced for that way. I do have to say thank you to Mayor Josh Morgan as well for initiating that consultation process early on so that we could take that on and see what the authority could do to achieve that. And that's important that it was done early. And that would be encouragement to anyone around the table as well, is if any budget cycle is getting in there as early as possible to give staff and board enough time to be able to look at what can be done to try to achieve different goals. So not necessarily just a budget goal, but with programs and services as well. So let's start thinking already. As soon as we get done this one, there's going to hopefully be another one. So with that, yeah, I think that again, I thank Tracy for all her the travel and going around this municipalities and making sure that they were informed and that we got the input that can be considered as well. Local engagement is very important, and it certainly is I think welcomed. Is there any other discussion? Turn it over to Michelle.
City of London, Anna Hopkins. City of London, Peter Cuddy.
Yes.
City of London, Skylar Frank. City of London, Sandy Levin.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Brian Petrie.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Paul Mitchell.
Yes.
County of Oxford, George Way.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Mark Schadenberg. County of Oxford, Scotty Zaire.
Yes.
City of Stratford, Harj Najjar.
Yes.
Township of Lucan, Badolph, Tom Heeman.
Yes.
Municipality of Thames Center, Tom Heeman.
Yes.
Municipality of Middlesex Center, Jean. Municipality of West Perth, Dean Trentowski.
Yes.
Township of Perth East, Hugh McDermott. Township of St. Mary's, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Township of Perth South, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Municipality of South Huron, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Is passed with 100% of the weighted vote.
Excellent. With that, I will ask for a mover and seconder for part two, which is a projected capital deficit of $759,241 from $13,498,250 in capital expenditures requiring $6,271,586 of participating member levy. Mover and a seconder for Mark and Hugh. Discussion. I will reserve the same comments I made before. Certainly, there's still work that needs to be done. That never stops. These structures will be here long past us. Maybe not Hugh, but the rest of us. Discussion.
I've been
I
very.
gotta get a Hugh joke in.
You say.
Might have said these structures are going to be here long past us, but maybe not you. So that's.
Okay.
A requirement now, there's gonna be a Hugh long-term service joke. No. Discussion. Seeing none.
I was just gonna ask Christine if she wanted to comment on the deficit portion of this for the capital with the planned spending of reserve funds for the campground.
Or campgrounds, yes. So the campgrounds has a healthy reserve because it is creating a surplus for the programs each year. But they have started spending in the campgrounds. We have some new roads there in Wildwood, some in Fanshawe. They're fixing up some of their buildings. The pavilion has been beautifully done and the revenues are starting to rise to help pay for that. It's all fine. The campgrounds are doing very well with their reserve, so they're planning to spend. We simply don't budget to bring money into reserves at the beginning of the year. That's all. Otherwise, that'd be perfectly balanced. And we also don't know how much they'll actually get done. So depleting the reserve at the beginning of the year for spending that has actually taken place, kind of not useful. So we just budget without it, knowing that there's a good, healthy reserve balance for the campgrounds. The other programs, the flood control, WECI programs, they're all fully funded like they should be for category 1. So yeah, I don't have any concerns over that deficit in capital spending.
Excellent. Any discussion on that?
City of London, Anna Hopkins.
Yes.
City of London, Peter Cuddy.
Yes.
City of London, Skylar Frank. Yes. City of London, Sandy Levin.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Brian Petrie. County of Oxford, Paul Mitchell.
Yes.
County of Oxford, George Way.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Mark Schadenberg.
Yes.
County of Oxford, Scotty Zaire.
Yes.
City of Stratford, Harj Najjar.
Yes.
Township of Lucan, Badolph, Tom Heeman.
Yes.
Municipality of Heeman.
Yes.
Municipality of Middlesex Center, Jean Coles.
Yes.
Municipality of West Perth, Dean Trentowski.
Yes.
Township of Perth East, Hugh McDermott.
Yes.
Town of St. Mary's, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Township of Perth South, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
Municipality of South Huron, Jim Craigmile.
Yes.
And that passes with 100% of the.
thank you very much, everybody. That's a big one out of the way, and staff can go do the great work that we give the funds to do. So that moves on to our reports for in camera, which there are none. So we'll go to reports for information. First one is the annual report of administration on enforcement on section 28. I'll turn it over to Tracy.
Yes, certainly you've got the report in front of you. Enforcement activities, and this is a new requirement of the province. We've been reporting for the last several years, but this is the first under Ontario Regulation 4124. So each year we've had a little bit of shift in how things are reported back because of the legislative change. But like I said, we've been reporting back on the same type of report annually for the last several years. Certainly the timelines are impressive, but also recognizing that it's the staff work that goes in behind this to get the numbers to where they are. I think that's very impressive. We know that, you know, you'll see in the next report as well regarding violations, but regulations, it is that positive communication. It's going out to the site, understanding the property, and making sure everything's in order to have a complete application. So a number of steps that are required to make this process move as smoothly as that. So again, I just like to commend staff for the work that they're doing behind the scenes. They don't always see in the report that just talks about some of the numbers and timelines.
Excellent. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Often I look at stuff and I see there's an 80-20 rule. But in this report, when you look at page 52, the last paragraph, next to the last paragraph, it's really 90-10. That there are maybe 10% of the applications that go beyond the 90-day appeal period. So I'm wondering if staff is looking at those and finding opportunities for reducing the number that exceed that we have responsibility for. But I do recognize that a lot of that is also due to complexity, due to delays on the side of the proponent as well. So it's not just us that can do better, that the whole system can do better, but looking to hear from staff if between now and next year, when we may or may not get this report, will there be some work done to see about what learnings come out of those? Because I see them as opportunities for learning more than anything else.
I do know that Jenna and Joe are here, so.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. A great question. I think it's things that we're starting to look at in more detail, and I think you kind of hit it on the nose with, there are very complex files. And in some cases, we're trying to work on better educating when to apply. So sometimes through these files, I've seen that applications are thrown in premature as an understanding to start our review, but they haven't started technical studies yet. So they're sometimes submitting an application to start the process, which is actually starting pre-consultation. So what we're finding is applications at that stage, they haven't even started technical studies yet. And the technical studies could take months to establish. So we're trying to get better at our communication early on the onset, that when that happens, to educate the applicant that it may be better to wait, withdraw your application until you get to a stage that it's, you've done some technical studies, you have something for us to review. Some of those files, it starts with a sketch and an application form, which isn't near yet the standard we have to meet. But it's certainly a good point, and we're looking into those files a little more so we can understand why they are taking such longer periods. But that's one example I can share with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions from the board? I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report's information. Scotty and Paul. Discussion. I certainly think this shows like the, when there's good information, our staff can make sure that that timeline is met. And certainly with the process, there's an item on here a little bit later, as well as the other items that have come forward to even help that process even more than others. So I look forward to seeing the results of that, and hopefully we will see the report next year, and it'll be 100. So the discussion, all those in favor, Opposed, that's carried. That takes us to 2, which is section 28 violations, annual summary report. Jenna and Joe are here, if available, any questions, if the board has any this time. Sandy.
Just more of a comment on page 55. The paragraph above 2025 violation summary. I understand we can issue stop work orders when there's something called significant damage. Unfortunately, the province never defined that for us. So I understand it'll still be a bit of a challenge for staff to deal with that matter. So hopefully somewhere along the line, we get a better definition out of the province, which would be nicer than waiting for the courts to figure it out. So just a comment more than a question.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, move in a second to receive the board's information. Ready to go with Jim and Harsh, please. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. That takes us down to 8.3, organizational design and strategy alignment project. Certainly with the changes being proposed by the province, this is certainly an important thing to know that we can respond to anything that comes this way, which I know the board, the authority can. They've proven that time and time again, but certainly, yeah, I think this is an important one to commend staff for going through this process. I'll turn it over to Tracy.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Again, it was a comment that came up around our boardroom table a few months ago about change management and, how to best respond, and not only for the organization, but also for staff to be in a proactively preparing for change. Again, we've dealt with a lot of change in the past, and having just gone through our strategic plan, this was an excellent opportunity to engage Climb Consulting to help us through this process. I'll ask Teresa if she wants to add anything, but it's certainly in the report. If you have any questions, we're just initiating some of our next steps in finalizing the project that Climb will be undertaking with us.
Questions of the report? Paul,
The through the chair, the engaging Climb Consulting, is that the same company that we had that helped develop the strategic plan, or is this a different company?
It's a different company.
Is that because of a bidding process, or because they offer a different set of expertise?
Through the chair, a little bit different expertise on this case. I know London Community Foundation has used them for some of their work as well, so kind of geared to non-for-profits. And again, with that change management expertise on their portfolio as well.
further discussion? I think this just shows how, as the authority modernizes and tries to meet the needs of its customers, it's just showing what has to happen. And I commend staff for going through a process. Obviously, the original report through Blackline, a very honest report. And so sometimes it takes an honest look. I'm sure this won't, I'm sure it'll be a great process, but change is never easy. I personally hate change. I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. But I would say that sometimes it can lead to better things on the outside. So I commend staff to go through the process and commit to that. So and I think the comments from the board that led to that. So appreciate everybody on that. So if there's no further comments, I will call the question. All those in favor?
Oh, we need to move on to second.
Oh, we didn't get there yet. Okay, moving to seconder. Tom and Jean. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. That brings us down to 8.4, which is Thames River Current, which is the February edition. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Just type in someone else's email and sign them up as well. They'll appreciate it. Are there any questions from the board on them? Mover to second to receive. Skylar, And George. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. That takes us down to a report for committee update. Finance and Audit Committee, there is no update, but there is a hearing committee's update. And that was just that the hearing committee met to decide the regular scheduled meetings for this year, which were approved by the committee. With that, is there a mover and a seconder just to receive the reporter's information? We'll go with Mark and Skylar. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Are there any notice of motions? None. We're gonna take a break and we'll break till 10:45. We were fishing. So we will agree to take some time and stretch it out and talk amongst yourselves.
I know.
So we're just gonna make sure that everybody can see us online. And then we will continue with our agenda this morning for the fun portion.
I think we're good.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Tracy. What it sound like? Wow.
It's actually worse than that, right?
Pretty good.
My wife did.
Oh, wow. I'm here to welcome everyone. This is fantastic, seeing such a full room. Lots of people online as well. So it's great to have so many attending. We've got lots to cover today because we've got lots of very special recognitions to provide. So I'm happy to get that underway. Just give a little reminder though, for those of you who have joined the meeting now, haven't been in for the announcement earlier this morning, but this is being recorded. And when the microphones are green on the squares on the ceiling, they're picking up noises. So just so you know, they're really sensitive. So try to avoid any side conversations and such, so that people online can hear clearly. So we'll get a little bit of that. Really good, really sensitive though. So, anyway, with that, here we've got a few items to cover. But first, I just want to provide this opportunity for our board members to introduce themselves. We've got a lot of new staff here, and it's always great for our board members to be recognized as well. So if you can each stand up, provide which municipality you're representing, and also which other committees that you sit on board, that would be great. So we can start with Brian, our chair.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Brian Petrie. I'm through Oxford and representing Ingersoll. And I was chair for 2 years. And then I passed the torch to Dean, and then he just passed it right back. So I'm back again. And I certainly, and I guess I'm on every committee by default. So no, I want to welcome everybody here today, and certainly it's good to see a full room and everybody up there as well as online. So welcome.
Hi, I'm Jean Cool. So I'm from Middlesex Center. I represent Ilderton, and I do not sit on any committees here. Thank you for having me.
I'm Sandy Levin. I'm a citizen appointment from the City of London. I serve on the Hearings Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee.
Tom Heeman, Lucan Badolfin, 10th Center.
Anna Hopkins, City Councilor for Ward 9, and I've been on the board for, this is my 3rd term, so that's 12 years.
I'm Harsh Niger with the City of Stratford, the Deputy Mayor, and I sit on the Finance Committee as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Craigmile, Town of St. Mary's. I also represent Perth South and South Huron, and I sit on the Hearing Committee.
Hugh McDermott, and I'm waiting for him to make a joke about how long I've been on the whole company. It has been so long, I can't remember when I came, but I'd like to thank all the rest of the municipalities for taking our water because we're at the top end.
Mark Schattenberg, City of Woodstock. I'm on the Hearings Committee.
Skylar Frank, Ward 11 City Councilor.
George Way, represent Township of Southwest Oxford and also the Township of Norwich in the County of Oxford.
Paul Mitchell, I'm Councilor representing Township of Zora, and I'm also on the Finance and Audit Committee.
Good morning, Peter Cuddy. I'm City Councilor for Ward 3, which is where franchise. And thank you for having me, and it's nice to see everyone today.
Scotty Zaire, I'm with East Sora Tavistock and represent Ward 1 Tavistock. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Dean Trentowski, Deputy Mayor for West Perth, representing Municipality of West Perth on the board, past chair, current vice chair, and serve on both the Hearings Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee.
Thank you. Thank you all. So you're probably wondering what we did this morning. One of the things that were on our agenda was the approval of our budget. And I'm happy to report that was approved unanimously. So that's great. Round of applause. I think it's. And having the support of our board, continue to do the work that we do. The budget is really just a means to the ends, and that's to continue the important work that we're doing watershed wise. Appreciate that. Now I'm going to hand things over first to Dean as our past chair to have some comments for us today.
Can everyone hear me okay without the mic? Okay, I'm not much of a mic person, so thanks, Tracy, for that introduction. Yeah, welcome everyone. It's great to see a full house of bright, energetic faces. Here we are once again for our annual general meeting to celebrate our past accomplishments over the past year. A couple of items of old business I have to cover first. Christine, you were wondering while we were waiting for Tracy or waiting for the queue up of the slides for the budget presentation, you were wondering what music to play as an interlude. I would suggest Pink Floyd Money for the for the next time. And current Chair Brian, he had mentioned at our meeting about change. He wasn't always agreeable to change, so I would suggest the song from Sheryl Crow, "Change Will Do You Good."
Are you suggesting walk-in music? We can.
No, thank you, everyone. Yeah, I just want to express my gratitude and heartfelt thanks for the past year as serving as your chair. Thank you to everyone for your dedication and your commitment to your service. It was a pleasure and a privilege to serve with all of you. I should thank past Vice Chair Mark Schadenberg for his support and assistance during the year. Greatly appreciated. Also to Treasurer General Manager Tracy Annett for her support and guidance throughout the year. To Mark and Tracy both taking what seemed like my endless stream of emails and texts and calls that sometimes went outside of business hours, but thank you for accommodating my schedule. To my fellow board members, thank you for your input and participation and support throughout the year. It's greatly appreciated. Also extending thanks to the mayors of our watershed municipalities. Especially important to have their engagement and assistance, and that includes also Mayor Morgan and his staff, as well as Budget Chair Closa, as we had mentioned earlier during our budget deliberation, part of our meeting earlier. It was very important to have all of our member municipalities, all of our mayors and councils engaged and working together on not only budget, but other important issues that are throughout the year. And also thank you to the support and collaboration from our neighboring conservation authorities. I believe Devin from Oswald Bayfield is here with us today. Welcome, Devin. And yeah, thanks to all of our neighboring conservation authorities for their support and working together during the past year. And lastly, and most importantly, thank you to staff. Thank you for everything that you do. Our strength is in our people, and we certainly see it different parts of the year, but today we like to celebrate the accomplishments of our staff. So let's give our staff a large round of applause. In closing, it's been a distinct and unique privilege and an honor to serve alongside all of you here. And thank you once again. I look forward to continued cooperation and progress in the days ahead. And our current chair, Brian Petrie, to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Dean. And so I'm going to start with Dean because he deserves a lot of things said about him. All good things. Previously, when I became chair the first time, the board returned after election and there was only 6 returning members. And so it came and they said, you can be chair. And I was like, okay, there we go. And I never thought that's something that I would have had the first chance to do. I can tell you, I came on the board in 2016, and the board has had a long history of some phenomenal chairs, some real community leaders, and some experts in their field. One of them's here today, Mr. Alan Dale, who served prior, and I thank him for all the things that he done. He was also the chair of Grand River at one time, so he came with a lot of experience, and also a counselor from Norwich at the time, and a newly appointed Oxford County Library Board member, which is continues to put his hand up for service at all times. So that first year, Sandy Levin said, I will step in and be your vice chair, and after that year, he's like, no way. No, I'm just joking. Sandy was there 100%, but then Dean came and said that he was willing to step up, and I can't thank Dean enough because I said, oh, it's easy. Not too much. And then everything, you know, it was not easy. And then there's a 2-year limit on being chair, which was just fine with me at the time. You know, there's a lot going on and you need change in an organization to keep it healthy. And Dean stood up again and said, yeah, I will put my hand up and I will take this on. And as did Mark, and I can't thank them enough. It hasn't been an easy year in a long time for conservation authorities. It's a constant term of turmoil and change and a lot of things going on. And then the people of Perth County saw Dean's leadership and they said, this gentleman should be warden. And so I can't congratulate Dean enough on that. And I think we should all give him a round of applause for that. Is elected official. Sandy was at one time. He knows the struggle of it. Everybody's a busy person, but everybody around here has the, much like the people in the room today, have the want to serve. And so that continues, and it's one of those things that I can't thank enough people for putting their names forward, for all the things that you do in a normal day, to say that you're going to serve your community, because it's not easy. You know, there's challenges, and then to say I'm going to not only serve my community, but I'm going to step onto a board and take on the challenges of that and everything that happens that way. So again, thank you, Dean, for your leadership, and thank you for stepping up, but also knowing that we're all human and that there is limitations, and some people need sleep. So I can tell you that Dean is not short of things to do today. So thank you very much for that. Again, I do want everybody to thank for taking time out of your busy day today to be here. You know, I'm famous for winging speeches, and this is one of them, because every time I write something down, I can't remember what to say. So I have a general outline here, and we'll stick with me. We'll be about 4 hours. I'm just joking. One thing I want everybody to you know, being here since 2016, I've learned a lot. But you know, what do we do? What's a conservation authority, and why are we here? Well, there's a couple things of why we're here, and let's not forget the meaning of conservation. You know, there's water, you know, there's development, there's all these things, you know, there's education, all these things you do. But at the heart of it, what conservation means in the Conservation Authority Act is the why did we say. And so when you see it that way, it kind of opens up why we're here and what we do. Because remember, when we were formed by these 17 municipalities at the time, everybody agreed. They didn't have to, but they came together and agreed that this was the best way forward to work together to make sure that people weren't flooded out and that we could do great things if we worked together. And so within the map, it doesn't follow traditional boundaries, but water really doesn't care. That's the other reason, you know, the main reason why we're here is water, because of the flooding that happened and the need to respond to that. You know, I like the saying that water's lazy. It just keeps doing what gravity tells it to until it can't, and then it kind of builds up. That doesn't work out too well if you happen to be living where that water wants to be. And so just outside the window here, you'll see the amazing thing that people do to keep other people safe. And that's the other thing I want people to remember today is about people. And what it means to be in this room with everybody and to think about all the impacts that we have as a people, as individuals, and then as a collective coming together, and what that means to do that locally. I'm from Ingersoll. Obviously, we have 5 streams. We know about flooding and rivers and stuff like that. And I know Ingersoll pretty well. I don't know Perth East that well, but Hugh does. And everyone around the board knows their area very well. And you know your neighborhood well, and you know where you live pretty well. Much more than someone who doesn't. And so having that local knowledge is important, and having those local conversations is important, and having that local input. And certainly that's something that is being challenged today. Certainly from a policy perspective. Sorry, I'll go back a little bit in time. When conservation authorities were formed, especially this one, there was another member at this table, and it took the physical shape of a person sitting there from the province. And you can look back at the old minutes, and they were there, and that's how this stuff got done. If you look at the minutes of the inaugural meeting, the amount of work that they got done in like the 4 hours they met it's crazy, but they had the people at the table to make things happen, and one of those was the province, and that provided funding, and they're really a partner there. Somewhere along the way, that got taken away. Now the province has decided they want to come back to the table in a big way, but not as a partner, but as a nicest way possible here is just giving direction. And so, you know, we sit around this table. Our job as a board is to make policy, and staff go do the great work that they do to implement that throughout the community. But I have to say that ability to make policy around the table is gone. That's been redirected to the provincial agency that hasn't been formed yet. But that's where policy will come from for now. So that's a big governance role that's been lost by this board, which is important of why we're in the room today, is because we need that local input. Everybody here is a local expert, and not having that local input through the board and through staff and everything else is an important, is a thing that I don't know. It's gonna take years to realize that we lost something great. And I'm not gonna say that you're gonna see change day one. But what's being proposed is taking seven conservation authorities across 81 municipalities, reaching all the way from Windsor to Orangeville, and saying, now you're going to be one unit. There's a big change from one side of London to the next, from one side of the watershed to the next, and one side of Ontario to the next. And certainly we have a great history there where it's very concerning that we're going to lose those valuable local voices and influence around the table, but we're still going to be asked to foot a bill that really isn't our responsibility. But what I really want to do today is also, those are challenges ahead that we will face. And I know one thing that I know for sure is that this organization will do it the best possible way. 2019, we faced a big challenge of coming forward and totally changing our organization. And I can't say enough about the people around the table, but everybody in this room stepping up and saying, hey, we can do this. And they knocked it out of the park. They had everything ready to go and everything was, is it what we chose? No, but at the same time, fantastically done. And I can't thank everybody enough around the table because it's up to me, myself, it wouldn't happen. We get the easy job of just saying yes. So I want to focus more on the people part of this too. We're going to hear some great, fantastic stories today because that's really what it's about. Conservation is the concept of wise use of land. Why we do it is to keep people safe and educate people and make sure that we can enjoy and have a safe and a prosperous life beyond our lifetime, and others can in the future. And we can't do that without partners, and we're certainly going to hear about some of those partners today. And that's really what it's about. It's all working together as much as we can and towards a common goal, which again, the wise use of land. So take that with you today in the stories that you hear and the work that you do. It matters. It's going to continue for a long time, regardless of where that boundary is, because we know water is still going to keep flowing and people are still going to really want to have a safe home and make sure that they're kept safe and that we have beautiful areas that we can experience for a long time to come. So thank you very much for being here today. And again, I'll echo our past chair's comments. I want to thank staff the most and the board for the opportunity. We will be the water and we will just keep flowing and we will deal with whatever comes our way, but we'll do it with pride and we'll do it with knowing that whatever the name shall be, this will always be UTRCA. Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Dean. Your words are very, very appropriate for this day. Next up on our agenda is a year in review, because this is kind of to recognize not only the work we're doing, but the people that we're doing it for our partners, to really highlight everything that we have accomplished. Sometimes we get to the end of the year and realize, oh yeah, well, that flew by. What did we actually get done? So we've got a little bit of a presentation here that'll run on its own, just highlighting some of the work that we've all been able to do. I know from reviewing it, it's quite impressive what we've been able to accomplish. So we'll start by the presentation. Have to do that.
Start again? Yeah.
Let me restart and see if the music continues. It says with music. Anyone want to sing or?
Past chair Joe.
Oh, good.
On the second.
Awesome.
Just imagine there's music, I guess.
No, there was. So lots of lots of stats in there, highlighting some of the metrics that we use to measure our progress. But certainly can recognize we're resourceful and adaptable in change. And we all anticipating change, preparing for change. But every other time we've experienced changes, we've come out the other side of it even stronger. So I guess that's my message today, is that with the group of staff we have, the work that we do, the engagement that we do with our partners and with our municipalities, it's amazing what we can accomplish. So. Next on our agenda is our presentation of conservation awards.
Excellent. This is the best part of the day. I just got nothing on that. But in all seriously, this is the great thing about something. We can celebrate people and the great things that they do. And again, another round for applause for staff. Like all the amazing things that happened this last year and they're going to happen this year. Fantastic work. That brings us to our Outstanding Resident Award. The Outstanding Resident Award is presented to a watershed resident who embodies the spirit of conservation and through their actions and accomplishments creates a more livable and resilient watershed. I'd like to invite Carly Flair, Community Education Coordinator, to introduce the 2026 Inspiration Award recipient and her family who are here to accept the award.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone hear me fine? Great. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me up. I wanted to say we nominated Diane Irving, Linda Smith's mom, for the Outstanding Resident Award because of the many ways that she cared for the environment, her community, and supported the UTRCA over the years. As Teresa would say, when she hired Linda, not one, but two amazing people joined the community partnerships team. Diane was a person who always found a way to contribute, whether the job was big or small, behind the scenes or front and center, she found thoughtful and practical ways to help. A teacher and a chemist, Diane could do it all. Working with students, running festival stations, creating activities, organizing materials, helping with plantings, or simply arriving with a beautiful platter of treats for staff and volunteers. She brought a calm, steady presence, as well as a joyful, positive energy to every event that she was a part of. She brought warmth, kindness, and a deep belief in caring for the land and for one another. It was her everyday actions that had a real impact on both the environment and the people around her. The ripple effect of her kindness and her reliability has been felt by staff, by volunteers, students, and community members across the watershed. Our communities, our world, and ourselves would be a little bit better of a place if we could all embody Diane's spirit. To honor her spirit, we put together a short video that highlights just some of the ways that she showed up and contributed over the years. So thank you, Diane.
It's my pleasure today to talk to you about Diane Irvin. The Community Partnerships Unit really wanted to see Diane nominated. We're so happy that she's receiving this award because she's been an integral volunteer for all of our events for probably close to 20 years. I'd like to get a little bit more specific about the kinds of things that Diane did. She would show up at all of our events, and I mean all of the events. Every day of the Water Festival, she would come to the family night of the Water Festivals, all of our Celebrating Community Connections events that were operated during COVID. It might be a cleanup, it might be a Friends of event, and she would be on site just to do whatever was asked of her. And one of the special things that I always remember about Diane is her sewing. So she would sew things like our props for things like Eagle Survivor, cut out fish, took home things that needed mending. She was always there to help us, whether it was during the workday or after, but all on her own time. The role of community partnerships is really trying to make that connection between the Conservation Authority and the communities that we're serving. We want people to see that there are opportunities for them to work with us or work in their own communities to help the environment. Diane was instrumental in making people who attended our events comfortable, introducing them to other people, helping us with 100 volunteers a day sometimes at the Water Festival, that they felt welcome and they could really see what the work of the authority was and how they could become a part of that. One of the most attractive things about Diane is that she was always in a good mood, very social. She loved to wear lots of color. She was just a really welcoming and warm person and really worked on our behalf. It's important that the Conservation Authority recognize Diane Irvin's contributions, even if they are posthumously. All of her efforts, all of her activities, her wonderful spirit are going to continue to be felt at all of our future events. And we wanted to make sure that we recognized and showcased how important she was to us.
I have the honor of inviting her children, some of them who are here, Linda, Rob, and Sarah, to accept this award.
On behalf of the authority, I can't thank you enough for Diane's contributions. Really, this just shows what conservation does. It brings people together. And, it's contagious. And so I can't thank you enough. And it's a great honor to present you with this award. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Can everyone hear? Great. On behalf of my siblings and our family, I'm deeply honored of our mom's lifelong dedication to conservation and community service. Our mom believed that caring for the land was not just a duty, but a privilege, a way of giving back to the world that sustains us all. She was a conservationist at heart and instilled in all of us a deep love for the environment. When I was about 11 years old, long before curbside recycling existed, dating myself a little bit there, we collected recycling from our neighbors, from our church, and loaded up the car and drove it across the city to the depot. At the time, it felt normal. Looking back, maybe not. But because with our mom, helping was always normal. She was someone who simply showed up. She made connections, positive energy, and carried a quiet joy in everything she did. Whether she was volunteering in classrooms, leading community initiatives, or supporting environmental programs, she believed deeply in being part of something bigger than herself. Many of you may know her from the Water Festival. She loved helping run the activity stations for the students. She attended every festival, even if I wasn't the one running them. And one year she showed up in sunglasses, and you probably saw, just days after eye surgery because she didn't want to miss it. Being a chemist, she often ran the station called Something Fishy, where the kids learned about pH using litmus paper.
At the end of the week one year, she quietly said to me, please next year, don't put me beside the fire truck. Nobody wants to learn about pH when there's a big fire truck. That was our mom, never complaining and always gracious. Once that station was retired, she quickly picked up running the activity station called Eagle Survivor, where she helped the kids don eagle wings that she had sewn and ran the kids through an obstacle course. She also helped with the Friends of Stony Creek, planting trees and wildflowers at every community event. As she got older, she continued finding ways to contribute, whether it was a plate of food at a Stream of Dreams installation or hosting field trips at her own home, where her grandkids class would explore in spring in her garden and learn about plants and how they grow and thrive. Always with banana bread at the end of the field trip. Just a few months before she passed, she joined us at the Dearness Home to help residents paint Stream of Dreams fish. She was also in the process of volunteering there herself. Showing up in whatever way she could was simply who she was.
Her commitment to community extended far beyond her environmental work. She volunteered in schools, led toy drives, supported local programs, and even took her compassion abroad, building homes in Malawi with Habitat for Humanity, teaching science in Lesotho. That was when she was in her 60s, and then volunteering in Tanzania alongside her granddaughter she was in her 70s. And yet, she never saw any of that for her. She never sought recognition. For her, it was just what you do. Help where you can, care for people, and leave things a little better than you found them. That's why this recognition is so meaningful to our family. We saw her impact every day, but it's deeply touching to know that others felt it too. She would likely be humbled and probably a little bewildered by this honor, but we are incredibly proud. To the authority and to this community, thank you for recognizing not just what she did, but how she lived with stewardship, generosity, and heart. This award is a reminder that one person's quiet, persistent actions can leave a lasting legacy. Thank you very much for remembering our mom.
These are always most powerful things. What people put into their lives and what they give back is when they truly find that passion. It's amazing how we all benefit. And I can't thank Diane enough. And obviously that's passed down to her children as well. This next award is presented to a watershed resident's passion and understanding of conservation needs in their area and a desire to take action. The recipient demonstrates exceptional stewardship in protecting or improving the natural environment on their property or public land. Welcome, Tracy.
Again, this award is in recognition of a former staffer, Kim Berger. We're fortunate enough to have Kim's parents here, Wendy and Dave, for this award ceremony. It's always so touching as well. Kayla's interesting in the natural environment, her love of the outdoors, always wanting to be out in the woods nearby her home where she grew up. It was something that was instilled in her. And I know her mom continues to work with Girl Guides and passing on her knowledge of the environment too. So it's always very special for this award. So I'd like to invite her to introduce this year's recipients. It is an honor to present Bill and Cecilia with Davies with the Kayla Berger Stewardship Award. Bill and Cecilia has committed to create a healthier environment, and it's been inspiring. As far back as our records go, which was the mid-1980s, and I know some of you in this room weren't even alive then, except for the spring of 2002, Bill and Cecilia have planted and ordered trees from the upper Thames. And in that particular year, 2002, Bill told me he just plumb forgot to order. Each spring, through rain, snowstorms, sleet, mud, and COVID, they have added a variety of deciduous and conifer trees to their farm, including maple, oak, sycamores, tulips, spruce, cedars, pines, serviceberries, and tamaracks. Over the last 40 years, they have established thousands of trees, providing habitat for birds, insects, and other forms of wildlife. Some of these were put in by the Conservation Authority, but most were planted by Bill and Cecilia. Their dedication to protect and improve the natural environment is remarkable, and their legacy will be certainly enjoyed by future generations. And yes, Bill and Cecilia have placed an order for their trees this spring. And the UTRCA staff is looking forward to seeing them driving through our gates and picking up their trees. So congratulations to Bill and Cecilia. You are an inspiration to others, and you are both well deserving of this award. We have a short video here to recognize and the Caleb Berger Stewardship Award goes to a landowner who shows commitment of improving and protecting the environment, and this is certainly Bill and Cecilia Davies. As far back as our records go, in 1987, Bill and Cecilia have been ordering and planting trees from the Upper Thames. So over the years, they have planted over 4,500 trees on their property. Living out in the country has always been a dream for Bill and Cecilia. And back in 1966, they bought 24 acres from his father. And then early 1970s, they started to build their family home. When the kids were young, they decided that they were going to put some apples in. So Bill went out and bought 400 apple trees, but the trees never did very well. And by the early 1990s, the trees were mostly all dead. And in the fall of 1995, Bill gave me a call and asked me to come on out and take a look. We established over 3,000 trees where the old apple orchard was, plus another block at the back of the property. I asked Bill what he was doing with all these trees, and he said, "Oh, we always have more room for more trees." Over the 40 years, you can well imagine that Bill and Cecilia brought different vehicles to pick up their trees. Anything from a big station wagon to a little hatchback. And Bill would always pop out of the car and goes, "What do you think, Brenda? Can we get them all in?" And so we had to do some creative designing to get some of these trees in year after year. And I think even one year, they were driving away and Cecilia had a tree on her lap. About 3 or 4 years ago, I asked Bill and Cecilia if they wanted some help to plant these trees. And Cecilia's had nothing to do with that. She said, spring wouldn't be spring unless we planted our trees. Bill got his love of trees from his father, who planted many of the trees around Spencer Hall and Spencer Lodge on Windermere Road. And Cecilia, she's an avid gardener, and she still plants a huge vegetable garden every year. And I asked them why they planted the trees, and they said they didn't really think about it at the time. They just enjoyed planting trees. And now they see the environmental benefits. And once or twice a week, they often see a coyote. And a couple weeks ago, Bill said that he saw a young deer coming out of his plantation out onto the driveway and then tucking itself back in again in the protection of their trees. They also see a lot more birds in the area, including wild turkey, blue jays, red-bellied woodpecker, and the aesthetic value. They never thought of that at the beginning, but the aesthetic value and the recreational value, they have a number of children and grandchildren that come out and they enjoy walking through their trees.
Cecilia told me that spring wouldn't be spring without planting trees. Well, Bill and Cecilia, spring wouldn't be spring for the Upper Thames staff if we didn't see you coming in to pick up your trees. Through hard work and dedication, Bill and Cecilia have left a legacy for their future generation. But I think the pleasure to me, for the most part, is I love to see the joy on their faces as they drive away and Bill says, well, Brenda, we better get home and get these trees in the ground. So congratulations, Bill and Cecilia, for this award, and it's well deserving.
Welcome, Bill and Cecilia. Tell me a few words. Congratulations.
I guess, are you coming up, Steve? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough for just doing something that you enjoyed and that.
It's a bargain, you know, that's what I like.
We make a commercial. You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Now, you want me to say something?
Yes, if you'd like to say a few words.
This is a real honor for Celia and I to be here and I received the Kayla Berger Award. She must have been a remarkable young lady with a big heart and a great philosophy on life, which I think is really sort of rubbed off on all the employees up here at the Upper Thames. We get treated like royalty up here. I'm getting a little emotional about this. I get awards. And but when coming up here for so long, we get, as I said, really treated well. Brenda and her cohorts look after us and greet us warmly and have a sense of humor, which I think is really important. And then, of course, we get our trees, we go home and, you know, as I said, we feel like family. And now we do have family. We've got our nephew, Robert Davies, up here. So, and I hear good reports about him from our neighbor. They're planting trees. I think they're doing it again this year for him. So I have to, you know, let you know that this catalyst of planting trees is really my wife, Cecilia. And she has planted far more trees than I have. But you know, don't know what's wrong with you, Billy. You're just getting old and senile. Everybody feels sorry for me. And every year we say, oh, we're not going to do this again, but every year we do. And planting trees is like therapy, you know, you plant them and then you see them leaf out and then they grow. And then 30 years later, 40 years later, you've got this magnificent tree on your property. So I think it's, as I said, been good for us. But I guess carrying on here, I've got to get out of this. We are great fans of the Upper Thames, and you folks are doing so much work out here, out in the countries, out in the townships, on the river, looking after turtles and, you know, and fish. And of course, all the activities that are available for all the residents and from the city of London and the surrounding area are just amazing. You know, it's a real jewel for the city of London to have this facility around the lake that here. And I guess I was really interested to get the monthly bulletin we get every year. I think that's a really great thing. Tells people what's going on in various areas around the township. And I guess the other thing I was going to say was, I'm sorry about the changes down there at Queen's Park, but I'm sure you guys will work through that. I was kind of a little disappointed there was no suggestion of a change in government, but anyways, London needs you, all the townships in the Ontario need you. So thanks for all your efforts. on our behalf, and I guess that's all I have to say.
You can stay forever.
I guess Brenda said I gotta say a few words or I wouldn't get lunch, so. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, everyone. It's great. Next, we have a presentation of our staff service awards. We have quite a few here. And a number in the room. We have a couple online again. Cold and flu season. I know a couple stayed away too. So with that, Brian can close out. I'd like to present the first award to Eric Fink. He's our assistant. In-year awards, recipients. There's a few here. Next is Mike Funk. Tatiana Lozier, she's online today. Manager of Watershed Management and Integrated Watershed Management or Stewardship Services Coordinator. Jessica Snakeman is also online. Land Use Regulations Officer, Cole Volker. He was telling me just the other day that his first AGM, he had just started and we still had room for tables in this room. For everyone to sit around a table. Okay. Wilkins. He's online. And Jason Benkoff. With Jason, this is a pretty significant award because he is receiving a 10-year service award, but has been a seasonal staff person up at Wildwood CA. So for him to accumulate 10 years of seasonal work is a phenomenal accomplishment. Now we move on to our 20-year awards recipients. Julie Welker, Source Protection Coordinator. And Ian Romoff. For dam maintenance mechanics. We keep them busy. Thank you so much. And also 20 years is Deb Kurt, who's online as well. Administrative assistant for Federal Planning and Regs Department. For 25 years of service, we have Scott Gillingwater, species at risk.
Thanks for that. Public forced acknowledgement, I'm getting old.
He started when he was 5.
Mike Knox, our asset management specialist. Also for 25 years, Steve Muffle. Superintendent at a few of our CAs. And finally, not here today, but Sean Howley, 30 years of service. Tired. He's not here today. I'm sure he's enjoying retirement. With that, congratulations. I think a full round of applause for everyone.
So everybody's moving along.
Can I say just one more thing? I wouldn't get supper tonight unless I tell you that Cecilia planted about 2/3 of all those trees.
Advice you can take, gentlemen. Always give credit where credit is due. Yeah, this is always a great event, and I can't thank everybody for coming and all the work been done. You know, recognizing long service is a wonderful thing, and we're lucky to have employees that keep showing up every day, and I know they're gonna keep doing that to do the great work that we do. Again, I've said before, we're lucky around the board table that we get to come in once a month. We get to read the reports and we get to make a decision, but really that impact is on the ground, not only with our staff, but with the residents of the watershed. And we really can't do anything without the cooperation of everybody involved. It may be UTRCA, but really it's everybody, all the residents that live here is the stakeholders and the owners of it. So I want to thank everybody for making the time out today and making sure that we can celebrate those good things that do happen, and that are going to continue to happen in our watershed. We have a fantastic place to call home. It's diverse, but we're all affected by one another, and we continue to do great things. So thank you very much. Enjoy lunch. I hear it's fantastic, and make sure that you drive safe and get home safe. So thank you very much. I will turn it over to, is there any comments from the board? Seeing none.
Just
I'll turn
a
it over to
few
Jennifer.
reminders that I'm going to pass over to Michelle, but I know Michelle doesn't like the spotlight either, but I'd like to thank her and Vance for making the setup today and everything going through. And then she has some logistical comments for us. We'll do it right after the meeting is adjourned, but yeah, so we know where to get lunch and also for award recipients where to get gathered to take some photos before you get away. So.
Excellent. I will call for adjourn. Tom, seconded by Skylar. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much, everybody.